toxicity of codependent friendship. Codependency in a friendship creates a deeply toxic dynamic where one person relies excessively on the other for validation, emotional regulation, and a sense of identity. This reliance often manifests as an inability to function independently, constant neediness, and a blurring of personal boundaries. When one friend's emotional well-being is entirely tied to the other's availability and approval, the relationship becomes less about mutual support and more about emotional control. This setup is inherently unstable, as the codependent person sacrifices their own needs and autonomy, leading to resentment and burnout for both parties over time. This toxicity becomes painfully clear when the dependent friend is confronted with boundaries or the threat of separation. Setting a healthy boundary, such as needing space or asserting a different opinion, is often met with intense anger, emotional lashing out, guilt-tripping, or manipulative behavior, because the boundary is perceived as a direct threat to their emotional supply. Should the other friend reach a point of self-preservation and decide to cut ties for their own mental health and well-being, the dependent friend's reaction can escalate into extreme emotional outbursts. These reactions are a desperate attempt to regain control and maintain the dependent dynamic, solidifying the fact that the relationship was not rooted in genuine reciprocal friendship but in a damaging, controlling attachment. The necessity of cutting ties. After repeated boundary violations. When a friend repeatedly violates clearly stated boundaries, the decision to cut ties becomes an act of necessary self-preservation, not punishment. A boundary is essentially a contract for how you need to be treated. When it is continually ignored, it signifies a fundamental lack of respect for you as an individual and your right to emotional safety. One or two violations might be corrected through communication, but a pattern of consistent disregard demonstrates that the person values their own immediate emotional needs or desires, such as avoiding accountability or maintaining control, more than they value the integrity of the friendship. At this juncture, continuous attempts to explain or negotiate only exhaust your energy and reinforce the toxic dynamic, teaching the violator that your boundaries are ultimately meaningless. Therefore, the final step is often a clean, decisive break. This is done not in anger, but with the quiet understanding that you cannot build a healthy relationship on a foundation of disrespect. Cutting off a repeated boundary violator allows you to reclaim your peace, validate your self-worth, and send a clear signal that your emotional space is non-negotiable, opening the door for healthier, more reciprocal friendships in the future. Executing a clean break. A guide to cutting ties. Executing a clean break requires clarity, conviction, and a plan for managing the inevitable emotional fallout. The goal is to enforce your ultimate boundary, the end of the relationship, in a way that is respectful but firm, minimizes drama, and protects your peace. 1. The method, direct and final. For a repeatedly toxic or codependent friend, an abrupt ghosting can often lead to escalating attempts to contact you. A brief, direct message, text, or email, or a short, face-to-face conversation if you feel safe, is usually the best approach. Be clear and final. Use language that signifies the relationship is over, not paused or up for discussion. Keep it brief. Do not justify your decision by listing every boundary violation. The reason is the pattern of disrespect, and extensive explanation only gives them material to argue with. Example script, email text. Friend's name. After much consideration, I have decided that I need to end our friendship. I cannot continue a relationship where my boundaries are repeatedly crossed. This decision is final, and I will not be responding to any further contact. I wish you well, but I need to focus on my own well-being now. 2. Manage the aftermath, going no contact. Immediately implement a strict no contact policy to solidify the boundary. Block or mute. Block them on all platforms: phone, social media, email. This is not petty, it is essential for preventing them from re-engaging or tracking your life. Manage flying monkeys. Toxic or codependent people may use mutual friends flying monkeys to reach out or extract information. Be prepared to say, I appreciate your concern, but my friendship with name is over, and I won't discuss it further. Expect the backlash. They may express shock, sadness, or extreme anger. Understand that this is a predictable reaction to losing their source of support control, but it does not mean your decision was wrong. Do not respond to any of the attempts to draw you back in. 3. Focus on self-care and healing. Cutting ties can be surprisingly painful, even when the relationship was toxic, due to the habit and history. Acknowledge grief. Allow yourself to grieve the relationship you wished you had, not just the one that was. Fill the void. Reinvest the time and energy you spent managing the toxic friend into positive activities, new hobbies, and nurturing healthy, reciprocal friendships.